Today I'm going to take you on an overview of changing the drive belt on a Kymco Grandvista 250. It's also the same basic setup as the People 250 or the Bet&Win or Grand Dink. Removing the drive belt on the scooter is one of the activities that benefits from having an air impact tool. Most people don't have it, so in that case they can go to Lowe's or Home Depot and pick up a 1-inch inner diameter pipe to slip over a 1/2-inch ratchet to gain the extra power that they will need. If you're not using air tools, then you're going to need to buy or make a tool for holding the pulley still while you remove the nut. Keep in mind that the front and rear pulley require a different tool or different end on the same tool as you see pictured here. The first step is going to be removing the screw, 8mm socket. Then what will happen is you'll be able to slide this piece back a little bit and pull it out. Once this plastic piece is out, you'll be able to take this cover out without damaging it. Second, you're going to remove 4 bolts and their 10mm socket. Next, you're going to pull this off starting from the back like this and kind of slip this out, and you're going to disconnect your hose. That's for your that's for the engine. It's where you get a little bit of oil and you can actually drain it. You'll have a little bit of oil in here. It's like from blow-by that happens or something. Next, you're going to take 6 8mm bolts out, and they're all the same. You can tap this metal cover with a rubber mallet and then use a pry bar. It's better to get a pry bar rather than using a screwdriver. You get under here, there's a little hole, and you can just pry this cover gently. Don't use too much force because you don't want to crack it. Next, while you can remove this with a 19mm socket and an impact wrench will blow it right off, when you put it back on, especially if you want to torque it, I just guessed at the torque, you're going to need something like this bar here, which I made with my welder, or you could buy the tool to hold it in place. In the rear, you're going to turn it around, and I have these little pieces of pipe. They're actually, I think, EMT 1/2-inch tubing. And you put them on like that to hold this wheel. The magic though with the belt is you can get the belt off once you separate this, but when you go to put it back on, you're going to find you don't have enough room to get this started, and you can end up stripping this. The trick is you're going to need to take your bar, and you can really do this at any time, and you're going to unlock the back as so. See that? How I put pressure on there? And once you unlock the back, the belt will remain slack until the scooters run again, and it will still tighten back up. See that now? So now I could actually take this off, take the belt off, and put the new belt on. Of course, while you have everything apart, you want to blow out any dust, which I find I don't have any. You're going to want to just kind of blow and inspect your clutch plates. This has 16,000 original miles on it, and I changed this belt at 10,000, which was early, and you can see the belt is in excellent condition. So right now the belt has about 6,000 miles on it. And that's about it. So you're going to do your reassembly. You're going to use, your special tool to hold this. Now there's other ways of doing it, but you have to be careful you don't break these fins because they can be damaged easily. And these splines you might want to lube up with a little bit of grease or anti-seize, very small amount. And in this pulley mechanism, there's a few little lubrication points, but you want to use a tiny amount of grease, nothing excessive. Here's the important part. You have to put your pry bar in here and separate this enough. It's possible, due to the spring, and you can see this moves a little back and forth, but it's possible if it doesn't stay open, you might need to pry several times or put something in there to keep it separate. But you should be able to pry enough that it opens up. See how 2 fingers fit? Now up front here, when you've done enough, this belt, if it's got tension, it stays right here, but you want the belt to be able to go here. This time when I changed this, because I didn't know about loosening up that back belt, I stripped the splines on the inside. I continued to use the part, which is original and now has 16,000 miles on it. And quite a while ago I bought this, but I thought, well, this would be a good opportunity to put it on. Anytime you get parts anywhere, aftermarket or new from the dealer, OEM original, always match them up. So we put it on, and now listen, all right? It bottoms out. That's the important thing, meaning it's on all the way. So I'm going to spin it on by hand, make sure things are good. Regarding this cover, there is a gasket here, but don't worry about putting gasket cement on. It's a paper gasket. I believe it just helps keep a little moisture out or whatever. Southern California. Do not put any oil, and consider applying some medium strength Loctite on your chrome bolts. I did not, and mine got loose and fell out, so I replaced them all. That's it. We're done. Then I'll check it by hand. You're going to see some normal lines in here. See that? That's for the belt slapping a little. Again, before I put the rest of the covers on, I'm going to go take it for a little spin, make sure everything works okay. I just finished tightening this up by hand, and I removed it by hand, although it is a little bit tricky because you're in kind of close here. You can get an extension like this, but one that's about half this size, and that would probably put this half-inch ratchet in the right place.
Time to go.
When you need to get these holes to line up initially, you can just touch your starter real quickly and get it to move around where it needs to be. Watch out for these dowel pins and make sure this cover is slid on all the way. You might want to put sand and clean these up a little and put some lube on there. And what you want to do is listen for the noise when you put the cover on. Now listen. Alright? Look for the space on the top and the bottom. Make sure there is no space and that it's on nice and tight. Make sure your hose is not caught up in here. Once it's on tight, then you're going to hand tighten all your bolts. However, when I reassemble, most of the time I do it by hand because I want to do things right. If you're new, inexperienced, or you're what I call a fear tightener, you over tighten things out of fear that they'll get loose. Now, if any one of these little bolts gets loose, nothing is going to happen. Okay, you've got 6 bolts on there. You probably could get away with as little as 2. So if you lose one, what would you do? You'd go order another one at the dealer, or you could replace it with it. But if you are a fear tightener and you really have that nervous feeling, then do yourself a favor and put some thread locker on there. Use the medium strength, never high. So this, $2 at Harbor Freight, or at any auto store, the Loctite brand runs about maybe $4 or $5 for the same thing. Little tiny bottle will last you for years. You put a tiny bit on. You don't need much, just a drop or something on the threads. What it will do is, if you loosen it or put it in hand tight, you will need to put a wrench and give it a light turn the whole way. It will never be able to vibrate out. So that gets rid of the fear over time. Nice and tight, just the way it should be. Also, as a safety precaution, don't get too carried away revving the motor while it's on the center stand. If the scooter were to tilt back and that tire touches, it will go forward and take off on you. Again, good luck. Notice that after my test drive, this is tightened up. See how this is a little tighter here? There's more space, there's a little more tension here. Alright, watch out, this gets extremely hot, extremely fast. So it's a good lesson that if you sit and you're just starting to take off a little on a hill and you keep doing that, this thing gets super, super hot. When you tighten, this is how you're going to do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Once you've counted to 6, then you know you haven't missed any. And again, all I do is I take these things like this, and just with my hand up here on the ratchet, just snug it a little. That's all you need. Don't crank anything up. I lost one of my grommets, so I'm going to order the proper thing at the dealer. In the meantime, what I did is I put a little bit of the Loctite on there, and I made it just a little bit past hand tight. The Loctite will prevent it from unscrewing, and I didn't want to tighten it up because I don't want to damage the plastic. Before going ahead with the procedure, if you're not sure of your skills, consider getting a price from your local dealer first. Then, consider that you may have to purchase additional tools, such as the holder, maybe a 1/2-inch ratchet. So ask yourself, is it worth the time and effort? If you feel it is, then take your time. Don't try to get the job done quickly or hurry. Do it right, because you only change the belt about every 14,000 miles, and if you do things right, the replacement belt will be on there for a very long time to come. Thank you for watching. Good night, and good luck.